What isn't clear at this point is which direction will it eventually get pulled into. So I have to speak really quickly. But the building scientists, this was an amazing fact that we learned in an interview. These buildings, like Ross, will last for 400 years, the structure. The concrete is so strong, they will outlast us. They will last 400 years. So every 50 to 60 years, they need a retrofit of skin and systems. That 50 years is now for Toronto's in-between city towers. To a private landlord, these are commodities that they leverage to get money to buy other buildings with. They don't leverage them to invest back into the building they already own. It's a means to buy other buildings which they will in sequence leverage, etc. And for the tower resident, it's the locus of everyday life. So there are different perspectives on what is a high-rise residential building, what would constitute renewal. So it seems to me at this stage in the research, the piece that is missing, and when I say missing, I mean in actual comprehensive programs, is the 500,000 people who live in the towers. What Will and I have found, having done some interviews, is there's a real interest in and a willingness to consider expanding tower renewal beyond building retrofits, but there's a disconnect between that statement of interest and actually figuring out how to make it happen comprehensively. So people have said, oh yeah, that's a great idea. Somebody has to do it. We can't do it. Somebody has to pay for it, manage it, take the liability. So everyone thinks, yeah, great, but so I see at this point the need almost for a parallel plan to the building retrofit that would bring all of those other elements together in a comprehensive manner. So let me just conclude by suggesting what role I think critical scholars could play in this discussion. I think first, we can try to keep this suburban moment alive at a time when it seems to be possibly fading. Yeah? I sort of fear that the moment had its crescendo but a year ago, and that it's starting to fade. I think we, as scholars, can try to keep it going. One thing we can do, this is where I get a bit academic geeky, is suggest that we can identify counter-hegemonic action and discourse. What I mean is, we can challenge what are evolving as new normal concepts, and we could say we disagree with that. For example, it seems to me at the level of the city, in terms of affordable housing, the ambition has shrunk to simply retaining existing rental housing. And any dream of social housing, co-op housing, it's just sort of disappeared from these discussions. And I think we, as an example, can simply say, well, what about new co-op housing? What about new social housing? Continuing from that, we can engage with and support the people who live in towers. And so we can suggest to them, why not ask in this renewal for new co-op housing in addition to a supermarket or condo townhouses. And last slide is, in that regard, I've just started to develop a relationship with this group in South Etobicoke who are developing a response to a city-led planning initiative that these residents fear means that this will be replaced by this. And I mean, this is an early stage of the relationship, so I don't have a lot to report on that, and I'm also out of time, so I will end here. Thank you.